Hello, everybody. Welcome once again to another edition of Gaffing the Truth, where myself and my good friend Skabz the Clown get on the internet every week to kind of, I don't know, talk about shit, really. It's like we talk about not about shit, but like we talk about the weird and wonderful, the stuff that's not so
We talk about
explainable.
floaters. We talk about sinkers. We talk about the liquidy ones. We talk about the ones with corn.
That's true. We do. I mean, we did have that big discussion about the weird like the science experimentation stuff about the people who are like creating batteries with feces. So that was really fascinating. I think that was the most involved we ever did. But one of the things we love talking about is we love talking about aliens a lot, and so we decided to bring back our good friend Officer Perez from the IWF to talk aliens because he also loves talking about aliens. How you doing, Officer?
I'm doing great. How y'all doing?
Doing well, doing well. For the record, he just plays one on TV, so don't hate us.
Absolutely. Although I will say I do adhere to the donut stereotype. Yeah, I'm all about jelly donuts. You can knock me all you want. Yeah.
Next time we do a match together, that's going to be my thing. I'm going to bust out a box of donuts to distract you.
No, I thought you were going to say like you're going to pull like go into the trunks, act like you're pulling out brass knucks, and then it's a jelly donut that you just like pop me over the head with and smash. And
I'm sitting there. Oh, that's so good.
The raspberry donut is like the Crimson Mask, like Stone Cold.
The infamous it's the donut hole of doom move. Just pop it in your mouth, you fall over. 1, 2, 3, new champion.
Oh, the calories, too much carbs.
I'm down for that. That'd be really fun to. I don't wrestle, but I would do the weird, goofy David Arquette match to do that with, or
I'm
at
sure
least
now
call it.
We're always needing people for battle royals. You know, the more the merrier.
Oh, maybe we'll talk. So before we get started talking about weird alien stuff, so how have you been doing, Officer? I just like saying it that way. Officer Marcos Perez. So how's it been going for you since the last time we talked? Because you were on with us like about 2 months ago. Actually, the last time we talked about aliens. So, so how's it been going with you?
Everything's going great. Just living the dream here. Did a little bit more reading. I don't know if you guys got a chance to even touch that book that we had discussed the last episode I was on.
I skimmed a little bit. I didn't get to read the whole thing though.
The Unholy Communion is the name of the book. I unfortunately with all the homework and everyday life, I set my goal to at least try to get halfway through it. I didn't even get maybe like an eighth of the way into it.
So we're all in the same boat with that book. So yeah, so Ronald McDonald shows up. No, it's crazy. No.
This is like the worst book club ever. None of us read the book.
Worst book club ever.
I feel bad.
No, it's still fine. I mean,
I've also got like 2 other books that I'm reading right now too. So, and one of them is about it's all of Aleister Crowley's work. So I was really into that one.
It's hard to juggle so much like that, especially stuff that you actually are into. It's like when you've got like 3 different things you're reading at the same time. It's
I mean, like it's actually 3 things that I'm like really into because there's one about aliens, there's one about Aleister Crowley, and then there's one about true crime and murder. Like, you know. So yeah, those 3 things that I'm really into that I'm just like picking up each one here and there and then going, I need to stop and do something else.
Yeah, I started to read that Nazi stuff you sent me about the we were talking
Nazis and the occult and all that fun stuff.
Yeah,
I started about hating the Jews. We love our Jewish friends.
Yeah.
Like no.
I started to read that, and it's just like for me, it's real hard when I'm in school. It's hard for me to read and write, like write creatively or read for pleasure because it's just like you're already so exhausted from like all the assignments and everything like that, and it's like okay, well I have to read this book just to remember what I'm going to be writing about for this major paper coming up, and then to like say okay, I want to unwind. You want to do anything but read. So
yeah, you also don't want to mix those things up when you're writing your report.
Yeah, because we loved what you were talking about. We think you hit all the major bullet points and everything, but what's this thing about like anal probing? And I don't remember that section in the book.
That's like the weirdest report on George Washington ever. But you got an A because I don't know. Were you alive back then?
You don't know. You don't know what he was into.
Yeah, hey, we don't kink shame here.
He had those. He didn't have those wooden teeth just for fun.
Hey. So,
but seriously, yeah. So that was the book we were touching on last time, and fortunately I didn't get to read it. But the little bit that I did read, kind of, I mean, it kind of touched upon what I remember reading from before and some beliefs I had already had.
mm-hmm.
And one thing I did find interesting is that the guy that, and I apologize, I don't remember who the author was, but he's sitting there talking about how they started this kind of like an agency, almost like oh gosh, I don't know what you would call it, like hey, there it's an outreach program for people that are abducted by aliens.
David Ruffino is the name of the man who wrote the book.
Yeah, right. And he was like, I guess they had started up that group, and he'd have people, like, I guess he's answering the phone, and I was almost under the impression that it was like a private line, like in their house, and they just like they would pick it up and say, hey, I mean, they were really just bare bones at the start of it, and just taking down notes and telling people, okay, well, it didn't feel like he was being pushing the dogma or anything like that. He was kind of just like, I don't know, it reminded me of the way I probably would have done it, like if I were in his shoes, like not trying to push the whole, okay, well, you got to sit there and say 12 Hail Marys or something like that, and you got to go to church every weekend or something like that. It wasn't like he wasn't. I feel like if that was me in the abductees shoes, hearing that, I probably would have been turned off. So to hear that they were kind of treading lightly in the, okay, well, we have this theory that you can stop an alien abduction by giving yourself to God type of the theory that they had. And they still had people, I mean, the people that he was talking about in the story, they were kind of turned off by it, except for one that when he was recounting the phone call that he had with the guy's like, he's sensing, I guess, that the dude on the phone is being, almost described it almost like he's being possessed, and he's hearing voices that are saying things, and somehow this guy knows what the voices are telling him on the phone. So he's like, hey, they told you this, didn't they? They told you this is BS. They told you this, right? And the guy's just like, they're yeah. And he's like, hey, I have to go, and he hangs up the phone. So I don't know if he just got, I can't remember if he got just frustrated, or he was just freaking out that the guy on the other line knew what the voices in his head were telling him. So but yeah, I thought that was pretty interesting, the way they handled he handled the whole religious aspect. And I think that's the best way. I mean, it's already taboo enough as it is, and to know that aliens by themselves is weird enough. Now we're going to say, okay, you can stop alien abductions by prayer or calling out to God.
Yeah,
you're gonna.
I did find a name for something like that, like actually the entire belief in it. There's a Wikipedia page for it and everything, but it's exotheology.
Okay, can you send me that?
Well, exotheology was coined in the 1960s or early 70s. The examination of theological issues as they pertain to extraterrestrial intelligence. It is primarily concerned with either conjecture or about possible theological beliefs that extraterrestrials might have, or how our own theologies have been or will be influenced by evidence and or interaction with extraterrestrials. One of the main themes of exotheology is applying the concept of extraterrestrials who are sentient and, more to the point, endowed with a soul as a thought experiment to the examination of a given theology, mostly Christian theology, occasionally some Jewish theology.
First off, somebody's in the chat asking for the name of the book we were talking about. First off, that's Unholy Communion by David Ruffino, and I'm going to put that in the chat as well. Thank you for joining in with us.
I think, is it David and then Ruffino, Ruffino?
That is correct. That's why I just put it in the
Okay.
chat so that way people know how to find it. So that way it goes with that. The idea for exotheology, because I also did my research, stuff like that. There's actually a guy who was a retired pastor by the name of Reverend Barry Downey, who actually wrote a book back in the 60s called The Bible and Flying Saucers, but 1968, as a matter of fact. And he put the events, so the fact is that most of the events that happen in the Bible, one is that UFOs and basically aliens and angels are basically interchanged. Like, aliens are angels, for lack of a better term. And a lot of the things that you see that are effects back in the Bible, if you add in that alien element as far as stuff like that, so like, it's not the fact that there was a burning bush, but a talking bush is what made that relevant. And that comes more from the Bible. That comes more from the things like that. To see, where is it? Yada, yada, yada. He has like a whole list of all this sorts of stuff. Like, the fact is, like, during the book of Exodus has a lot of material, says things like the cloud that moved with the Israelites through, going to trying to find their place. A cloud of fire moves in front of them and then stops and then moves some more, so that until it got to Mount Sinai, almost like an alien ship was kind of guiding them, for lack of a better term. The idea of spinning circles in the sky is a very common, very, very common symbology within the Bible as well, if you want to get into this sort of stuff.
Like flaming chariots in the sky and pillars of fire and things like that.
Hell, the first few passages in the book of Ezekiel, I think, were the first ones that kind of made me raise an eyebrow. Because, I mean, I was Sunday school. Remember one day just having the Bible and I don't even know what compelled me to just kind of pick that book at random. Like, okay, let me go scroll through Ezekiel, and I started reading through it. And I can't remember the exact passage, but it said something like electrum in the sky rotating like a wheel on its side or something like that. And I just remember just the description, like, and I must have been maybe, I don't know, maybe 10, 11 years old at the time. And I just remember like raising an eyebrow, and I'm like talking to my dad, and I'm like, hey, what is this? What and of course, it's, you always don't want to, you've been taught not to take a lot of the imagery. I mean, at least I was not to take the imagery in the Bible literally, especially stuff like in the book of Revelations.
Yeah, I've actually got a good quote from Revelations right here. But at the same time, do they tell you not to take it literally because they don't want you to make that correlation between aliens or extraterrestrials, rather?
I think when I was told at that young age, it was more like, this is weird because of the imagery. And it's like, okay, the six, I don't remember, again, it's been a while since I've read the book of Revelations, but this, what was it, the dragon with six
the dragon in the sea with 7 heads.
7 heads, yeah.
Each one had 3 crowns, or I forgot how it all went.
Right, and it's just weird. And as a kid, you're seeing this dragon with just like how do I draw this type of mentality, and it's, and yeah. So that's why I didn't
what's his name? Edward Casey. I believe he was one of the conspiracy theorists who brought that one up. Or not conspiracy theorist. He was more like a kind of like Nostradamus. He made predictions.
That sounds familiar. Yeah. That sounds familiar.
Yeah, but here's this one from Revelations real quick. It's Revelation 16:13. Then I saw 3 evil spirits that looked like frogs. They came out of the mouth of the dragon, out of the mouth of the beast, and out of the mouth of the false prophet. There are spirits of demons performing miraculous signs, and they go out of the kings of the whole world to gather them for the battle on the great day of God Almighty. Then they gathered the kings together to the place in Hebrew is called Armageddon. And we know that now as Armageddon, the mountain. But yeah. But yeah, like, is that supposed to be like you're supposed to interpret it one way, or is this guy just trying to describe what he saw the best way he knew how?
I tend to, I guess I try to like rationalize it in my head. I'm speaking of Nostradamus. I'm sure you've all heard that, like, you know, in his quatrains, he describes, you know, the locusts or something like it. I guess the more of the doomsday prophecies where he describes the locusts. And I'm sure you've seen television shows where they try to say, well, maybe you know, the locusts were helicopters, military helicopters you saw in the distance flying, and you try to, I guess you're rationalizing it. I guess I rationalized it in a way that, like, okay, Nostradamus, they said he would, what was it? He would look into like a jar of, or a bowl of water, and he would be just staring at it to get his prophecies. And his descriptions are weird to us because we're like, what are you talking about? And you have to break it down. And that's where, you know, well, maybe he meant this, and because in his eyes there was none of this technology going around, so he's describing it as best he can. So I guess the way I think is that what I'm thinking about is that whoever wrote the book, and I forget which prophet it was that had a hand in it, he probably was seeing the visions, and he probably, you know, wrote it down as he saw it. So I don't know. That's my speculation on it. Again, been a while since I've been to Sunday school, so I can't remember a lot of what.
Sorry,
go ahead.
I'll let you finish here. That's sorry. I've read the Bible a few times. I've read different.
It was a great read, but
I've read of different editions of it too, trying to find a truer form, and I found out that if I really want to know what it says, I gotta learn like 4 other languages, because
I tried to read the Book of Mormon and couldn't make it through it. It was terrible.
Oh no, the musical's far better. But as far as but the outstanding theory as far as the Book of Revelation specifically is that, as we're going to get off topic with this because that's just how it works with our show, anyways. That the idea that the Book of Revelations is really all just stuff written in code for people of that time. So it was all code, like messages being sent back and forth amongst groups, and they were hiding messages within these apocryphal writings. Like more detailing more things about, like, whether it's like more military. I don't want to say militaristic because that's not the right way to say it, but like things as far as like the movement, as it were. And they were using revelations as a way to kind of detail stuff that was going on for the times as they're trying to relay from distances.
Like a cipher.
Yeah, that's been a very popular, because that's a lot of reason why that book is so much different than the rest of the Bible in a lot of respect, as far as how it does its messaging. It's done that way on purpose, but it's weird, and I would say it's like not important, but the fact is a lot of the messaging has to detail with stuff happening of that time. So if we cracked the code today, we said a lot of it would just be things like, all right, cool, the Romans are going 20 miles west that way, right next to the tree with the weird spikes on it that happens to have like 7 big huge branches or whatever, things like that. That's just one of the popular theories by biblical historians
Well, that's
about
as good
the
as any.
Book of Revelation.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
and which is also the reason why
this entire article, but really quick, I found a New York Times article from May 29th, 1994, entitled "Would You Baptize an Extraterrestrial?"
Where was it written?
New York Times.
1994, wow. But 1994.
1994, yeah.
That's like
that's like peak alien popularity.
Well, it also the fact
that you can
go
to Spencer's and buy like all kinds of alien like blacklight.
So much fucking.
That's
like,
when I
shit.
Was. Around those years I had no life. I was not popular. A good weekend for me was getting home. Mom's like, do your homework, clean up your room, and if you guys get done in time, I'm gonna order you a pizza so you can watch your shows. And our shows were Sightings followed by X Files on Friday. So that was my Friday night.
X Files.
You had the old Bigfoot pizza that Pizza Hut used to have,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
me and my brother were like, "Yay! It's
Yeah,
an
we'd go to my
alien
grandparents'
abduction
house and
weekend."
they would cook, and then we'd watch that and drink sodas because we weren't allowed to drink sodas at home.
It was those were good times. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, yeah, you know what? We
X
made
Files,
up for it
baby.
years later. There you go.
X Files.
There you
Yeah.
go.
See, it's
There you
still
go.
that is literally my favorite show.
I, you know, I can't remember when I want to say I did stop watching early.
Oh no,
It may have been either at the end of the second season or the beginning of the third or whatever. Um, and I think it was because I got irritated with a lot of the what I consider was a bait and switch, where you'd watch the trailer for the episode coming out, and they're like, "Oh, there's going to be a UFO," and then you watch the episode, and it's like a biker gang coming over a hill with all their headlights on, and it's like, and you're just like, "Oh no!" So
I mean, there was the misdirection all the time.
Yeah,
but like, there was some episodes where it was just like kind of a normal thing that happened, but there was a lot of episodes where it was an actual alien or monster of some sort.
Oh yeah,
they definitely got more to the actual aliens later on when people were just like, "Oh, there's not many aliens or monsters in this."
It's like they had to dance between it's the dancing between the all right, cool. The people who want the monsters will start showing more monsters, and the people who are really into the government conspiracy shit are complaining because there's not enough government conspiracy shit. So then they have to shift back over that way a little bit because they had to dance between all the stuff.
And then it just kind of like started snaking.
Yeah.
So what did you guys think of? Okay, because I was like, when I saw this, I was like, what the hell's going on here? The final, I mean, I guess I don't know if there's been another season, but I know when they did the relaunch, what was it, like 2-3 years ago, and they tried to
they did 2 seasons.
Yeah, and I remember
I didn't really watch much of it, but also now I don't really watch TV, so it's hard to like do that for me.
Well, I mean, I got stoked for it. I'd been out all those years, and one of my friends was like a hardcore fan, and he kind of caught me up. Well, this is what you need to remember. This is what happened to Mulder. This is when he disappeared and all that stuff. He kind of caught me up to speed, and then I was like, okay, well, I'll start tuning in, and then maybe I'll go back and watch all the episodes I missed. And it was like whatever that season was. I was like, they had maybe prior to that, they had one comedy episode or 2 comedy episodes in the whole run. And it felt like all these other ones were like all of a sudden being really tongue in cheek. And I was like, what the hell's going on here?
Well, I think at least for that first season, I mean, they had the one obvious one that was like hard, like because they always do the hard. They did do the hardcore one that had what's his name from had which was really because the one that had the were lizard guy.
The were lizard, okay.
That was definitely tongue in cheek because the guy they had hiring was the guy Reese Darby, who was like a comedian from New Zealand, and then but that one was also making fun of the fact because now we live in the age where we have camera phones and shit like that versus back then when they didn't, and how they made that shit work and funny as far as every time Mulder tried to pull his phone out to take a picture of it, something always like dumb happened, like he tripped over his own feet or something or other, which I thought was hysterical. And then, it all starts with a bit going, well, everything, like, the whole thing starts with a bit going, no, we're going to investigate this crime. It's just going to turn out to be this asshole who, like, kills people. It's going to be unexciting. And in the end, that's what it was, because it also had Kumail Nanjiani, who was also a big fan and a comedian and stuff like that. So that one was really funny. But I think the other ones
really enjoyed, like, the point when they were, like, with the cigarette-smoking man and the smoking gun, like, the 3 nerds and everything. Like, when they got to that point, it was, like, real intense sometimes.
That's but like even the season they had some other stuff. Even with like Joel McHale, who's primarily known as a comedian, he played a more serious character of playing the weird right wing, almost like Alex Jones-ish sort of TV character. So I know I enjoyed the season, but I get why some people are kind of because it's been like 15 years since they broadcasted, so they had to play a lot of fan service for those people who are hardcore watchers, and so sometimes people can come across that sort of way. But it was that's when it ended that first reboot season ended really strong, and then the second season went really really well. And then it just came to the thing like, all right, cool, we did this. I don't know. We'll do it again, maybe. I mean, because basically, it's like they did well enough. I mean, now it's up to you know, it's up to Jillian, Chris, and David to say, yeah, cool, we'll do another season or we'll make a movie.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
anyways,
X-Files is religion. All right, fuck you.
that's true. Yeah. No, everybody's watching the show. Yeah. Hey, welcome to the show. Who's
I don't know.
watching?
I'm not really finding any like great articles on it, but what I was kind of looking up while we're talking about X-Files is like hieroglyphs with that show different vehicles, different things. Like there's one where there's worker looks like they're holding up a light bulb. There's all the helicopters and airplanes in hieroglyphs. There's the what's the one that Sukalos carries around all the time? The little airplane thing from the I don't remember where it's from. One of those other weird what's that oldest structure in the mountains place? I keep wanting to say like Oga Boga, but it's not. It's something like that.
I know what you're talking about. Oh gosh, hold on.
I can't think of the damn name of it. It's Oingo Boingo. Yeah, there we go.
Oingo Boingo. There you go.
It's a dead man's party.
Well, no one lives forever, especially with some weird science. He actually, Danny Elfman, to get off track again because I can. He just released a new record, the first one he did solo in like something like 20 years. And it's really good.
Oh, nice.
Anyways, back to the stuff. But yeah, no, hieroglyphs. Yeah, there are lots of there's a lot of conjecture as far as what some of the symbols are and mean.
But it's not just like Egyptian hieroglyphs. It's also like cave glyphs, like all over the world. There's weird star systems that they've found like in cave drawings. There's humanoid figures drawn in cave drawings. Like there's a difference because like, okay, here's all the people that they drew. Why is this guy so much taller and has two heads? Why is this guy over here, wide and really big and tall and bigger than everybody? Like, was he the god? Was he, something that they saw? Because typically they drew what they saw.
Right.
So like, why would there be a guy who's like much taller? Like, did they just run out of room and go, oh fuck, I got to draw everybody a little bit smaller than this dude? Like,
what is the name of the have you guys heard about the
Machu Picchu? Fuck, sorry.
I should have known that. Yeah.
From Peru. Chile.
With the Nazca lines.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is the have you guys heard about what is it? Is it the Chinese? I can't remember if it was the Chinese or Japanese pottery that detailed a war that the nation had with aliens?
No.
It probably wouldn't surprise me. That sounds like a Chinese sort of thing because like they tend to tell history with their on their a lot of their vases and stuff. So most likely, or some proto-Chinese sort of thing. That wouldn't surprise me if that's the case.
It was Chinese. I'm gonna have to look it up. It was on.
I just googled alien war Japanese art real quick to see what I found. Oh wow, there's a ancient war with aliens. There's a guy like looking at a UFO.
Yeah, it's actually I saw it on can't remember the name of the YouTube. It was like, I don't know if you guys are familiar with like top fives or top five unknowns, and it's one of those.
Oh yeah, dude, I love top fives.
Yeah, and I think it was on one of those because it was like the last one, and I just remember like, and I might be able to. I probably found the link because I think I did end up sending it to my dad. And,
holy shit! I found Super Nintendo's Contra 3: The Alien Wars.
But, all right, good night, everybody.
We're gonna go play Contra. But it was something about like, I guess they were showing up, abducting people, and they got fed up with it, and I ended up getting help from I could be mistaken. I thought it might have been the Nordics, and the Nordics like helped them out, and they had a bunch of technology that they lent them. I don't know. Obviously, they didn't keep it, but it was something like that. And I just remember hearing this for the first time. I was like, "Holy crap! I've never heard of any of this before." And it's just like they show the artwork, and it's like the typical. I don't remember what the name of the art is, but where they kind of exaggerate the features of the people and like kind of have like a side profile, and you kind of like see their face. Yeah, and it's just like, and it's the typical art from that era, but then you'll see like in the background like a little UFO, and then there's like some weird thing standing next to it, and I just remember like, yeah, that was like, wow, crazy. I fully intended to follow up more on it, and I think now that I'm reminding myself on it, I will. But it was crazy.
It'd be easier. Talk with the Raelians. Raelians.
Oh man, the Raelians! I wanted to bring up the Raelians. I found a whole thing about like UFO worshiping things, but
the Raelians are kind of crazy. Like
I love the Raelians. Like the Raelians are kind of boring in the sense that like they're like, we're not a death cult. We don't want to die. We want to enjoy what the aliens have given us and the earthly pleasures on Earth. We don't want to die. So they're not a death cult. Like there's no like end times or anything for them.
Yeah, there are no gods. The aliens are people who created us through cloning, and through us kind of figure out how to do cloning makes us be gods as well, sort of stuff is their idea. Yeah. And they're trying to start a church. They started back in like South America, and now they're wanting to they're in Vegas because of course. They're trying to get a church, put a church together and put it in Vegas, because. I mean, what's easier to get worshipers in than the loosest slots in town?
Yeah. Also, I found this when I was looking up alien Japanese art. I got to see this. I just had to make something for it. He's like spraying a cat out of his ass so another guy could catch it.
He's doing a what?
He's like shooting a cat out of his ass so another guy can catch it.
No, that's so that would have been fine. You could have had not the censored thing. It would have been okay.
I mean, I think there's kind of balls there, so I didn't want to. But also, like there's like stuff like this, and this one's like actually like super cool.
Yeah, I think that might have been.
I think it is. Yeah. I think this is what you're talking about because it's China's ancient war with aliens. So yeah.
There you go.
I just wanted to show you all the cat ones because what the fuck?
I think you just gave yourself a new routine for your show next time.
Yeah, right. I'm gonna like start shooting cats out of my ass.
So bear with me. I have this cat.
What's weird? Okay, here's the funny thing: is you bring up the thing with cats, and we have a viewer on called Mr. Meow Meow just jumped in. Alien.
Oh man!
Hey, Mr. Meow Meow. I actually met this guy. He has a really cool channel here on Twitch. So. Thanks for jumping in, Mr. Meow Meow.
Yeah, thanks, buddy.
We're talking alien shit and religion, so if you got any comments, jump in as well. We're happy to do so.
And also, there's a whole thing about like cats actually being aliens. I forgot that dude's name. I'll have to look it up, but it's fucking weird.
No,
his cat was like 1,000-year-old alien who was here to observe the human species, and turns out his cat was a demon. Also, that's another thing in the alien religion thing. Like, aliens, they're like, are aliens actually demons? And it's like, fuck, demons come from space now. God damn it! Like,
could be.
I mean,
I saw Ghosts of Mars. I know.
I haven't seen that movie.
It's fine.
Yeah, I was one with Ice Cube.
It's fine if you do.
It's a monster shooting movie, but like with the ground is red. That's
it's a John Carpenter film. What's the point of the effect is it's a John Carpenter film, and it's really just it's very meh for a John Carpenter film. Yeah, it did not do well.
Yeah, I mean it was just a shoot 'em up movie with Ice Cube. He was just kind of go the popular route, and it just didn't translate.
Okay.
But other weird religions that have stuff to do with the aliens, the Theorist Society, Church of the Subgenius.
Of course, it's Church of Subgenius.
Yeah, Bob. Church of Subgenius is really cool, really interesting. One of my favorites, Heaven's Gate.
Yeah.
Nation of Islam. There's the Raelians, Scientology, Unarius Academy of Science, Universal Industrial Church of the New World Comforter, Universe People. Yeah.
The Universal Comforter? What?
Wait, hang on. Okay.
The Universal Comfort
it's kind
Girls.
Of long. I'll read it if you want me to, but it seems really interesting.
That's just what the fuck is
Universal Industrial Church of the New World Comforter. Okay, here. Okay, I haven't read any of it. I just kind of skimmed it earlier when I found it. But the Universal Industrial Church of the New World Comforter is a UFO religion founded in 1967 by Alan Michael. Michael claimed that in 1947, under his birth name Alan Noonan, if y'all recognize that name at all, while he was a pictorial sign painter in Long Beach, California, he was contacted by the great galactic being that was manifesting itself as the Milky Way. He was asked to serve as the spiritual comforter and preach supernatural truths to the world. During his services, Michael often quoted from and provided his interpretations of the Bible. In 1967, in the Hot and Ashbury neighborhood of San Francisco, he founded the One World Family Commune as a pilot model of living that he was preaching as the comforter. He claimed to have physically encountered a flying saucer in 1954 at Giant Rock. Let's see if it gets any better. Wait, he began the One World Family Commune opening a vegan restaurant on the northeast corner of Haight and Scott Street in San Francisco, California, called The Here and Now. 7 similar restaurants following. A One World Family Natural Food Center. Yeah, he was just into food. Farmers, workers, the people, spiritual reformation. Yeah, he just wanted better food for people. So yeah.
This kind of reminds me of that weird religion that John Malkovich ran in the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Oh yeah.
Everything's a great sneeze. It's just what it sounded like to me, like a comforter. What? I was imagining a huge comforter. It's just the world.
I know, just a big old blanket monster or something.
With the theme is only at Mattress Giant.
Oh shit, Mattress Mac is like a fucking disciple.
Right. That's why Mattress Mac makes so much money. He just he's devoted his life to the comforter.
He's a prophet for the great comforter.
So speaking of movies, I'm glad you brought up the whole seeing crafts and beings on walls and all that stuff. Because another movie that came to mind was The Fourth Kind, and that was probably I remember seeing that in theaters, and I remember the ending just really I was on the edge of my seat, just chilled to the bone. The stuff that they were bringing up at the ending where she kind of allows herself to I guess get abducted and she's talking telepathically, or I can't remember what they were going for. I just know that she was able to talk in the voice of the alien that was communicating with her. She was able to vocalize it.
Mm-hmm.
And who was it, the linguist that was working with her was able to translate some of the words, and it kind of they lead you to think that the alien was trying to pass itself off as God. And then in the movie, the person that's interviewing her says, well, during the video, it said that it was God. And he asks her, do you think it was? And she's like, I don't think it could have been God because of what they were doing to her and to her kids and everybody else. She's like, but I think it pretends to be, or it can pretend to be. And I just remember I really wanted that movie to be true, because I was like, man, is this a true story? Something I've never heard of before? Because this would be wicked. And but it really creeped me out, because up until that point, I had never seen or had never heard or seen anything along the lines of my beliefs in, the maliciousness of what the aliens can do, or the malicious behavior, until that I saw that on the screen. I was like, holy crap, somebody, whoever made this is thinking what I'm thinking, or what I've been thinking for a long time. And I just remember, I don't think that movie did good either, but
no, it didn't.
I bought it anyway. Yeah, it didn't, did it? It was Rotten Tomatoes, probably low score.
It did not do well. I saw the movie. It doesn't surprise me it didn't do well.
And that's also kind of, I don't think even, did Fire in the Sky even do any good in the theaters?
Fire in the Sky
but that movie fucking terrified me as a child. That was the only movie that ever scared me.
it did decent in the theaters. Part of the reason it did is because there wasn't a. It's like it was of a time period where word of mouth was a lot bigger, and you were less dependent as far as like this is before the age of where like a quarter of a movie's budget is marketing, where they just make movies.
Yeah, this is before people were pissed off that Mortal Kombat didn't have a plot.
I know, right? No, Fire in the Sky did decent. I mean, it didn't. I mean, it made at least made its money back. I mean, because it wasn't a big production movie. So, no, I watched The Fourth Kind. It was
I just feel like I feel like a lot of the alien abduction movies they never get a fair break. Like I always had to tell people, oh, have you seen this movie? And they're like, oh, I've never seen it. Like I tell them Fire in the Sky. I think Fire in the Sky, you might have a couple people that remember it, but like
I definitely do, because like I said, that movie scared the shit out of me.
It scared me, but I will tell you, even as a kid, I was pissed off because I had heard like Walton's like version of the story, and I remember he was like, when it came out, it came out also that he was pissed off about it because he was like, hey, you know what, they changed this isn't what really happened, and they changed it. And I think I read somewhere on Wikipedia or somewhere that they straight up told him, hey, we don't think your story has enough like intense scenes or like
his
action
story
in
was
it.
extremely intense. Like,
yeah, but how you know
it's
how you can present it.
far-fetched.
Yeah, or it's how you can present it is what it comes down to, and that's what comes down to a lot of stories. No, I don't. I don't think fair shake is the right way to go about it because really it's up to the audience and what they want to see. And I mean, like things like Fourth Kind, they marketed the shit out of that movie. It just wasn't that good.
That's fair. I mean, I guess
it's
I'm
not. It's like
partial.
in the fair shake. The fact is that I'll give you in the fair shake is they didn't tell this like try to be the how they told the story wasn't great, and that was the problem. They opted for the cheap thrills and they did the stuff. They went to the lowest common denominator when trying to make the film. A lot of these quote unquote supernatural films or paranormal films, things like this, like White Noise, which I fucking hated.
I hated that movie.
You know, I think The Abyss would have been a much better movie if it was fucking shorter.
Well, yeah, it's fucking James Cameron, man.
Yeah, no,
it's just
I feel you on that. That was like, yeah, there's like cool parts on it, and I'm like, okay, let's keep it moving because
I mean, it's like a 3.5 hour movie, and like
and that's like, and then you get the director's cut.
2 hours.
Like, and then there's the director's cut, which gives another half an hour.
Jesus, like, no,
no, it's
another half an hour of dialogue.
Yeah, which is, I mean, if it moves, that's fine. Every once in a while, you see those movies, they do director's cut, and it seems to move faster. That was not one of them. But getting back to rounding back to the things we're talking about as far as the aliens and getting into religion sort of stuff. And then weird sort of things like the fact is that approximately 60% of the American public believe in UFOs of some sort. And believe it or not, 60% of the American public believe in God. And so there's a lot of correlation as far as that whole idea of faith being the synonymous. Cheers, everybody.
Well, it's kind of like the missing persons and unexplored caves map that you can lay over each other.
Yeah, but it's an interesting fact. The fact is like that in a lot of ways, the whole like we talked about how the fact is like in some ways the idea of believing in UFOs is pretty much similar as far as believing in a religion of some sort.
Well, hang on, where did I see that?
Which is why
I think it was here.
I'm always like so cautious about, like I told you in the last episode, like why I'm so cautious to have this discussion because, like you said, it's hard to have those two subjects be standalone, and then now you're trying to, bring them together and say these are all related. This is how they connect. This is what we believe, and it's hard enough to have people believe in one, especially if they're on the outside looking in. Now they're on the outside looking in. Now you're just like, okay, now you got to believe them both at the same time.
Or I go the other way is thinking the fact is that one is accurate and one is inaccurate. Which one is it?
Yeah.
And that's what a lot of people, like, especially people on the religion side, are really not wanting to have that conversation because they're afraid that if it's aliens versus being angels, what is that about my core belief that I think is untrue? And
Oh, I look at it like I said before, I think the truth lies somewhere in the middle, and it's a lot. Obviously, a lot of it's going to be interpretation, um, but I guess I've been able, when I've had these discussions with other people, the way I've simplified it for them is, uh, God is science, science is God. And I say that's like, using the example of the Big Bang Theory, and you can agree with me or not. Um, I still have, I guess, trouble, putting it together in my head as by myself. And it's like I talk about the Big Bang Theory. It's like, okay, we're talking about Big Bang, created, Earth, everything that we know, and it's like, but then it's like, okay, well, maybe that's science's way of, explaining God's work. But then you can flip it the other way and say, uh, uh, this is religion. You're putting the scientific. You're trying to rationalize. You're trying to explain it to us humans. Like, we're trying to rationalize God's work. So a little bit of here or there, I guess.
But to add
I'd
to your
equate
point,
Arthur C. Clarke, the great writer, does like 2001 and does a lot of great works. This is how I look at this. Like, he thinks it's called Clarke's third law, which basically states that any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you don't understand, because if it's far enough
Marcos, to add
advanced,
to your point, real quick, in a 2008 statement, Jose Gabriel Funes, head of the Vatican Observatory, said, "Just as there is a multiplicity of creatures on Earth, there can be other beings, even intelligent, created by God. This is not in contrast with our faith because we can't put limits on God's creative freedom."
And therein lies the big question. It's like, what was, why were we only told our aspect of, within the Bible, why we were created in God's image? Okay, well, how does out here play, or if we're talking about out here instead of, interdimensional, whatever, how does
Maybe
that
Which
all
is
come into play?
they wanted us to focus more on ourselves and each other before actually like making contact with other worlds, which we still haven't even been able to do that. I'm sure like the aliens, if they do come here, they're like, I don't want to talk to those guys, they're kind of mean. Like,
Yeah, but then we go back to the conversation we had before. I say, okay, well, like, okay, yeah, they look at us as being savages, but at the same time, okay, why are you coming over here and yanking us out of our beds in the middle of the night? And if you want to take
to
the,
see why we're savages.
yeah,
why do we tag?
Why does me putting my glowing thing in your butthole make you angry? That's weird.
yeah,
why do we tag deer and put them back out in the wild?
What?
yeah, and you can, we can have that argument, but at the same time, it's like, okay, well,
Also, I mean, going back to like first contact early on in life, kind of having a play on us now. Y'all know the uncanny valley theory, right?
yeah, we were talking about that, I think, last time, weren't we? About
Yeah.
about
What's like why humanoid shaped creatures scare us, things like that. Like, maybe there's a reason.
yeah, the whole, I mean, was it our ancestors
Mm-hmm.
encountered them and they knew there was that whole fight or flight?
Yeah, I mean that's like the reason, like why, spiders and clowns are the two most feared things, like globally. And there's no reason other than, hey, that spider can kill you, and we don't know anything about these things.
Yeah.
That's why everybody's afraid of every single spider, because there's a couple that can kill you.
And they look alien, so they look like something. Yeah, and then clowns, because they have a false face. Yeah, and clowns have a false face, so a lot of people don't like clowns because they have false faces.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah, cowlophobia, cowl meaning face covering. A lot of people have a hard time when you see a frown drawn on somebody's face and they're smiling. It really throws them off.
Yeah. So just about out of time. That's obviously is going to be a discussion we'll probably have forever and a day, which is good. That's the idea for the show and us doing this thing, so we can talk about this stuff.
We need to do a follow-up once we've all finished the book, is what we need to do.
Well, hey, we'll be talking about aliens in 2 months again, so maybe we'll fill it in then. Let's get plugs out of the way. We'll get out of here, and then that way the next thing can pop on the channel. So let's let our guest. Do you have anything you'd like to plug, Officer Perez?
Yeah, go ahead and like us on Facebook. That's the Immortal Wrestling Federation. Tune in to see all of our content, all of our upcoming shows when we announce them. You can also see all of our previous shows archived in the video section. You can also check us out on YouTube. YouTube also has everything we've ever released from, last couple of months, last year, to going back, hell, all the way down to 2008 when we were called the Illegal Wrestling Federation and we're Yarders. If you want to get that deep into it, you can go down there. You can see shows from Creepy Hollow, shows from Walters Downtown, when that was still open. All archive is on YouTube, and that, of course, when we get new shows, those will also go up on YouTube. You can also check us out on Instagram as well. That's the Immortal Wrestling Federation, and check us out. Check out all the IWF Warriors in action.
Yeah, definitely. Skabz, you got anything you want to plug?
Not really, man. I've got a couple of random shows coming up. Got something at White Oak, I believe the 8th. I got to look at my other calendar. I don't have it written down in here, but what is it? May 15th, I'm doing the Rocky Horror Picture Show again, but we'll bring that up, in a couple of weeks. But yeah, other than that, I got nothing.
All right, cool. So the rest of the week, this week, right here on Carney Show. Right after this show gets done, I'll be showcasing a movie called The Amazing Mr. X, which is a really cool film about spiritualism. I mean, it fits the theme for not today, but like our show in general. Tomorrow, got Planet Lism. They're talking to our good friend Hot Todd Lincoln, and then got the Devil's Hour, where I'm going to be showcasing a band called La Femme, Alexander the Great, and Jess Spires. And then on Thursday, the G Spot, I'll be talking with Todd Robbins, and we're going to be having and then after that, will be a fun edition of Soused. And then next week, right here on Gaffing the Truth, Skabz and I are going to be talking we're going to be talking really like the multiple Earth theory, but in the way of the Hadron Collider and all the weird shit that supposedly come out of the Hadron Collider. And all that fun stuff, which will get us into like multiple Earth and all this other weird timeline shit and all that fun stuff. We're gonna get really Marvel up in this and really get into the idea of multiple timelines because I don't know, why not?
I'm gonna have to join you guys on one of these shows, one of these other ones, non-alien ones, one of these days.
Oh, sure, Skabz... yeah. So yeah, we got like on the Gaffing the Truth Facebook page. I actually I list out and post out what the month is going to be. We only have 1 week next month where we're not doing a show because I will not be in town to do the show. But otherwise, we'll be doing stuff. I think next month we're talking Hadron Collider. We'll be talking mummies.
Yeah.
We're going to be talking
possibly the weekend. It's kind of a toss up right now, but Australian cryptids.
Yeah, and then we're talking like haunted objects.
Yeah, ghost stories,
ghosts and haunted
objects, shit like that.
Yeah, so it's gonna be a lot of fun.
I don't know if you guys can see this here, but this is my backpack that I take to work.
Oh, hell yeah! I'm so happy that it has a night crawler on it.
Yeah, the Fresno Nightcrawler.
Hell yeah!
But anyways, everybody be cool. Be
one
safe,
of my favorites because
be
there's like 2 videos of them.
That's right, Mummies at the Pool, old Dumbo guy. Just like Anyways, everybody be cool, be safe, be groovy, and as always, keep drinking, everybody.
Yep.